Hey, today we're gonna clean up an old safari. These are lions out of Africa, and they are so old, and there's always so much going on around here, man. I just don't make time to film, but I figured you'd be super bummed if I didn't show you before I get started why they drill them. I'll never know. So you can see how much oil is in this lion. Like, to the touch, it's just nasty, right? This is why we mop and glow too, because it keeps the dust from settling on the oil. Yeah, it's rough. The other part of this, you can see how these big canines, these big upper teeth are broken, split. That's always a concern of mine. So I'm gonna hit this with a power washer, wash off the outside stuff, and then I'm gonna drop it in here with a bunch of acetone. This is a caracal cat. This is called a wild cat skull. Cool. Jackal of some sort. Jackal. I'll open them up, take a quick picture, but these are all going in acetone. I gotta go away for a couple weeks. When I get back, they should be ready to white it. Thanks for watching. Yo. Do you remember a while back I had a bunch of African predators that came in that were they were finished, but they were real oily and real just nasty. All the canines had split. I soaked them in acetone for like 3 weeks. Can only do so much. If you go to Africa and you shoot up whatever, they clean the skull. It goes through this sanitization thing called a dip and pack. Sometimes that chemical turns out red on the skull or something like that. However, you gotta know that there's no perfect answer once it gets to the States. So I soaked everything in acetone, and now I'm just gonna rinse off just acetone, dip and pack, and all that stuff. Let me show you a couple real quick. These are the lion jaws. You can see how bright red it is there. This is it starting to dry after the acetone's been through it. But it's, 3 weeks. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it dry real good. There's nothing in there that I can get rid of anymore. The acetone has done its job. It's dissolved the oils. These lions need a boil to open up those pores and get out whatever's left in there, and then let that peroxide attack that bone.
All right, y'all have seen me do this a bunch. Now I'm convinced that the oil for the most part is out of these skulls. So I'm gonna put some peroxide and water in a pot and bring it to a boil with those lion skulls inside. You can see how much oil is boiling out of there right now with just that product. I set the other skulls in a warm batch of Whitebone Creations mix. I had done a bunch of stuff, so I set all those in there to whiten. Now one by one, I start pulling them out of there and giving them a good rinse. Now you can't count on the wet color as being the end color. Dry is much lighter than the other. So I'm just gonna set them in the sun and see what I got and make a decision from there.
We're getting there.
I wasn't completely happy with them after they had dried. So now I've got them down in a bucket. You can see a little bit of red on the top of that skull, still dip and pack in there. And you can see some real light yellow hues on there. I want those to go away. So I've got a gallon of Mrs. K's, water in the rest, a bucket heater from Amazon. It's gonna bring that water to about 180 degrees. And I'm just gonna let it sit and check, and see what happens. The truth is, it was about 8 hours. You can see what came out of there, what was in there. It's just amazing. Now I think I got them. I'm gonna let them dry and we'll pick it up here in a minute. Y'all, they're beautiful. I have them laying on their back here because I glued all the teeth back in. Anything that fell out, I got everything fit back together. And now I'm going to apply a coat of Mop and Glow. The bigger of the lion skulls was really chalky and kind of nasty when I got it. I exaggerated it. I made it much worse. So I'm giving it a real heavy coat of Mop and Glow to really soak into that bone and firm things up. Man, this was a fun little project. Y'all, before I wrap up, I want to make a shameless plug to the Whitebone Creations Instagram. I'm going to participate a whole bunch more in that program this year than YouTube. I'm still figuring out the YouTube thing, but if you like what you see here, I can share a little bit more in faster clips on Instagram. So please give us a look, give us a follow, and let's wrap up this African skull video.
All right, wrapping up another video. I wish I could have got these animals fresh from Africa. To be honest, I don't know how many years old they are, but they're many years old. Skulls always look better in the sun. You saw when I was putting Mop and Glow on there. Part of that is lighting, and you can see they look a little bit more dull. This is in bright, straight up sun, and they're just, this one here is beautiful. It's smooth, it's clean and degreased. This one here, I'm assuming either a male or a much larger lion. This one had been cooked for longer before I got it, and then I really cooked it, and it's smooth because of the Mop and Glow, but it's really porous, really beat up. I'm not super happy with the way that turned out. What he wanted was white. That's what he's got, but there's definitely some bone damage in the mix. What I would do differently on these two lions, I would take and put them in the bucket with the heater and not boil them. I would have just put them in there with a degreaser, let them go, then acetone, then whiten, which is cold peroxide. Skulls can definitely be redone, but if they're old and they're fragile or flaky in any kind, don't boil them. The boil is harsh. I hope that's always been clear. The boil is harsh, but for new fresh bone, it's okay. You just don't want to boil too long. Anyway, thought you guys might dig some African lions, give you an idea of the size of those things, man. That's a big, old kitty. Thank you for watching.